Hello, and welcome to Hindsight 101, where you're going to learn about things that will help you in everyday life. Now, I have my two friends here, Collab and Falcon. We're going to learn about moonshine, specifically legal moonshine. I don't know too much about it. They do. They're the experts, so they're going to take you along for the ride. Take care.
So today we teaming up with Hindsight 101 to show y'all how to make moonshine. But more specifically, we're going to be making an herbal lemonade. Right now, let's get into the ingredients.
Let's get into it then.
So what we have here is a lemon. So what I usually do with this is I usually cut that up. We'll go into that later. We have some standard granulated sugar. And from here, light brown sugar, organic rosemary, organic mint, some sweet basil, some granulated honey. Now this honey is like a high grade honey. It's going to cost you a little bit more, but totally worth it in the end. It's also got some cinnamon in there, which shouldn't affect the flavor too much. This right here, you have to sign a waiver for. This is known as Everclear. You will notice that it is 190 proof. I highly recommend you don't drink it straight because you will have special effects. And usually if I want to top off just a small amount of 1800, or you can use Kazul or Patron or whatever type of tequila you want. Small amounts. We'll go into that. Okay, so let's get started. What's the first step that we got to take? So what you're going to do is you're going to make a simple syrup. For those of you out there who are like, how do you make a simple syrup? Well, first you can either go to the store and buy it, or in this case, we're going to be making it from scratch because I like to have the best ingredients in my moonshine.
The best ingredients.
The best ingredients.
Cool.
Because when people get drunk, I want them to get drunk proper.
Okay, that works for me. And you'll enjoy this too.
Oh yeah. So what we're going to do, I've got right here a mason jar. And the cool thing about this mason jar, which you might not be able to see from that distance, but that's okay. We have cup measurements, but we also have over here milliliters. But in this case, we're going to be using cups for simplicity, as a lot of you guys actually use cups when you're in the, your kitchen.
Okay.
So I'm going to put a cup of granulated sugar right in here.
Okay.
So we're just going to pour that right in there.
A cup.
1 cup.
1 cup.
1 cup. The reason why is we're going to be making a large amount of this.
Okay.
Okay, so we got the cup there.
Okay.
Now we're going to take that and pour it into the little container here. Ooh.
Yeah. Sugar.
Everyone loves sugar. You can rinse it out. I'm not.
Doesn't matter. It's just sugar.
It's
a brand new container.
We're going to ultimately be mixing it all in there. So now I'm going to take the brown sugar.
How much of that do we need?
Well, since we're making a simple sugar.
Okay.
1 cup.
1 cup.
So I'm going to just kind of put that in there as safely as I possibly can without having too many problems. The problem I've always had with this stuff is it always is. You can use dark brown sugar or light sugar. Light sugar is going to be better for lemonade. Dark sugar is going to be better for like apple pie.
Okay.
Or lemon pie. Not lemon pie, peach pie, sorry.
Peach pie, okay.
We're making the lemon pie. And let's see where we're at. A little bit more, it seems. A little bit more.
Think so?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
The purpose of the sugar is actually to cut into the bite of Everclear. We're also going to be throwing some honey in there. And all of this is an effort to actually reduce the burn that you're going to taste if you have Everclear straight. Since we're going to be making a moonshine, you want that flavor to be smooth. That way your guests don't feel like they're burning their throats out. In short, ladies and gentlemen, don't drink this stuff straight. And if you have real moonshine, definitely don't drink it straight because it's going to be worse than the Everclear.
Yeah.
So, unless they like doll it up like I do. So we got about 1 cup here. We're going to pour that into the vat, the mixture. I'm going to turn this on while this is going. The goal of this is to actually get it to melt. We're going to now put in actually put in an additional cup of water, completing the simple syrup.
An additional cup of water.
Yes.
Okay. yes.
Gonna switch that around, get some of that, the remaining sugars out of there.
Okay.
And then we pour that in here.
Now let me ask you a question. Do you do that because you want the extra sugars, or do you actually need the water?
There's gonna be a lot of other things that we put in here as well.
Okay.
In this case, we're gonna actually want to ultimately water it down. This right here is fresh squeezed lemonade.
Fresh squeezed lemonade.
This is a cheating factor. You can do it straight, as we have lemons over here as well. But for simplicity purposes, we're gonna use this lemonade right here, and we're gonna be pouring that in here as well.
Okay.
In much larger quantities. I've already instituted a little bit of lemonade in here already.
Okay.
So we're gonna pour this in here to match up with the simple syrup that I just poured in there.
Okay, perfect.
Now, the weird thing that you will notice when you do this is you want to taste it and make sure it's as smooth as possible. This mixture right here is going to be ultra sugary.
Okay.
When I say ultra sugary, I mean ultra sugary. To the point where it's going to be too sugary for any human to normally tolerate. There is a reason for that. When we start filling up these mason jars, we're going to be pouring a small amount of that in here, and then half of this is going to actually be Everclear.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
That's correct, folks.
Wow.
Half of this is going to be Everclear. So we're going to pour the Everclear in here. We're going to pour the simple syrup mixture in here, and then we're going to fill it up a little bit further, and we're going to top it off with a little bit of the 1800 tequila. Okay. So now, there's other things that need to go into this mixture. So right now, I've got some organic rosemary, freshly bought from our local grocery store.
I'm going to throw that in there.
I'm going to throw that in there. I'm going to grab a sprig, a large sprig.
Aha.
Very strong.
Aha.
Now,
one is all we need, correct?
one sprig. We're going to be straining this out later on.
Okay.
Now, what we have here, fresh mint leaves.
Okay. Okay. And both of these are going in there.
Both of these are going in here.
Alrighty.
Next, so now with the sweet basil, you're going to want to put in enough to taste. So you want to basically feel the flavor, and you will notice over here that there's a bunch of spoons. These spoons are meant for tasting. You want to taste your mixture to make sure that flavor is correct for you. Keep in mind, like I said, it's going to be ultra sugary, which was intentionally done.
So basically, it's basically a big tablespoon almost, like.
Yeah, like a tablespoon.
And then you add when you want more in there for, depending on your taste, basically.
Yeah, as you make it, you're going to make this to your perfection as you like it. The same thing with the sprigs of rosemary and mint leaves. You want this to taste. As it comes out, you'll be like, okay, well, I need more of this or less of this. If the mixture is too strong, you put in more water. And basically, that's how you keep it going. Now we're going to go and delve into the granulated honey.
The granulated honey.
Yes.
This style of honeys.
Yeah. This is a little bit more expensive than normal honey. This is like I think I spent like $8 or $9 on this. The purpose of getting this is that it's actually got the comb broken down into the mixture. So it's nice, it's thick, very thick. Most people aren't aware of this because they're just like, oh, honey's honey. No, you are wrong. This
You are wrong.
is correct. This is the way to go.
Okay, good.
So once again, I'm going to be putting this in here.
How much is you putting in there? Is that just a teaspoon, or how many spoons of that does that batch need?
So you ultimately want to use this as your main burner of the burn in alcohol. I probably worded that a little funny, but you know what I mean. So in this case, I'm going to be pouring in, let's see, I need a bigger spoon.
Yep.
Ha-ha! Slightly bigger. So I'm going to go by tablespoons based on the amount that I have in here, and there's a lot in here.
Yep.
That's 1 tablespoon, 2 tablespoons, 3 tablespoons. as this mixture goes, I'm going to actually taste this. I'm mixing this up.
And decide, then you're going to decide if you want more.
If I want more, and if I want less, you add water.
Right. So you'll start with 3 tablespoons.
You'll find that it's not an exact science, but more
Preference.
Right now, what we're gonna do is cut into this lemon. We're gonna make like equal size slices. Now the cool thing about a lemon is that you can actually make this taste friendly to the palate by putting it in a sugar mixture, maybe simple syrup, or you can actually put the herb mixture in there with more sugar. You'll stick this in there, let it sit overnight, and then you can actually put that in there later. They can actually eat this straight, which you normally never see anybody do with a lemon, mainly because, well, it's a little bit too bitter for anybody to taste. So, what I'm doing right here, I'm gonna make some small slices here, and this is gonna be for their glass. I'm not the best with a knife when it comes down to cooking, more for gutting or something like that. No, I'm just kidding. But you get the basic idea. Simple slices. If you want, you could take the seeds out.
So now that you've cut up the lemon, what's the next step?
So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 2 of these. And you can put in more. Once again, it's all to taste. I'm going to start off slow because I don't want to overpower this mixture. At this point, this is probably, it is boiling.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to shove these in there.
Put those in there.
And I'm going to cover this up for about a minute or so.
About a minute or so.
And the goal is to actually get this to feel the flavor, taste the flavor. And I'm going to grab one of my tasting spoons for that minute once it's completed. I'm going to go ahead and uncover this mixture here. Oh yeah. Tell me what you think.
That's a good little mix though.
Yeah.
It is sweet though, like he said.
It's meant to be overly sweet, so don't be surprised when you take those.
Good.
I'm actually good with the way that this flavor is as it in its current mixture, so I'm going to turn the stove off.
I am too. It's a good flavor.
You're going to want to let this cool because this mixture was boiling for a considerable amount of time. And by considerable amount of time, I mean it was boiling on the stove, and you should not stick this in the refrigerator, which is what we're about to do. You want to cool this mixture off. You can actually just let it sit on the stove for like a couple hours. I don't like that. At my location, I actually have a freezer where I just shove the whole thing in there, and I'll let it just cool off for about 20 minutes, half an hour. Make sure it doesn't freeze because that kind of defeats the purpose.
Correct.
The purpose of cooling it down is because you do not want to cook out the alcohol when you mix it into the mixture. So, you cool off the mixture, and voila, look at that. Through the power of television, or YouTube in this case, I have a mixture that was already made. So now, what we're going to actually do is start pouring this into one of the mason jars. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick this on top. This is to capture all of the mint leaves, the sprigs, all of that. You don't want that going into the jar. The goal is to actually surprise your guests with flavor.
Okay.
We're going to actually use a small amount of this, and by small amount, we're going to go up to 2 cups of it.
2 cups.
This is the nice cooled off mixture here. I'm going to use my powers of pouring and hopefully not spill too much. Perfect. And we're going to go up to about halfway. That should be about good for now.
Yeah. So you see how the strainer caught the remnants that he was speaking of that was coming out of the pot.
Yeah. So now there is some that did slip through, but that should be okay for the mixture. Because then it'll, kind of gives a hint as to how you've done it, but doesn't give away all your secrets. All right, so now what we're going to do, we're going to take this Everclear, the power of the Everclear that you never drink straight, folks, and we're going to pour this in there.
How much of that should go in there?
I'm going to make sure it doesn't go all the way up to the top because you want to have room for adjustment with flavor.
So you want to put as
I'm going to
much.
stop right here.
Okay.
And that happens to be at the 3-cup mark.
So you want to put half of the mixture in there and then fill it up with Everclear until the what part again?
So the goal is to actually, once again, it's always to taste.
Okay.
All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little taste test. You'll notice I didn't put any of the tequila in there. I want to get the alcohol burn just right first. So I'm going to take a little bit of this mixture here. That one sip was all it took for me to know that I need more of the mixture inside of this.
Okay. And that's why you left it to that point where you can add more before you add the touch of 1800.
That is correct.
Okay.
All right, so now it's here. I'm going to actually put in a little bit of water to cut a little bit of the burn.
Tell me when to stop, my good man. And this is all based on your taste buds, on how strong it is. I mean, sometimes you may need to put a half of a cup in there or a third of a cup. It's just depending on how
Your
strong
taste.
it is.
Yeah, some of you like paint thinner, some of us like flavor. All right.
Yeah.
So now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually take one of these lemons. I'm going to pop this right in the glass.
Let me ask you a question. Why wouldn't we pop that in that glass?
We can, but a lot of times it gets too mushy. So I usually like to keep it separate, and that goes into making them nice and sugary for later. And then when I pop them in the glass, people can actually eat them. Though a lot of times they don't, but if they do try it, they won't be unpleasantly surprised. They'll be like, oh, can I get more of this lemon? And then you have like a little stash kept on the side just for human consumption.
Okay, all right. There it is then. How does that taste there?
A little strong. A lot more lemony now. So now that we have this, I can either leave this like this, which is like mildly strong, or I can put in more water as we discussed. The goal is to actually get this perfected to your palate.
Or you could put in more mixture.
Or we could put in more mixture.
So, moonshine is a strong drink. I mean, that's what it is. But like he said, it's all capped on what your preference is, basically.
All right. So now, to me right now, this whole mixture tastes a little strong. So what I might do is I actually might take straight lemonade and just pour it in there to cheat.
Yeah.
Or I might pour it into the mixture and then have the whole mixture eliminated out. The goal is to equalize the flavor, and you experiment from there. But ultimately, from here, we're done.
We are done. Make sure you hit that subscribe bell,
The like button
the like button, leave a comment
or comments.
and show us some of your moonshine that you made.
Yeah. Tell us the flavor, what it's like.
And make sure anything you do in life,
You always reign supreme.